So, hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I greatly appreciate your time and interest in water conservation. So my name is Jackie Leibowitz, and I'm the Water Resources Program Assistant at IFAS Extension, Sarasota County. And I am joined here today by my supervisor and fellow water lover, Dr. Abby Turna. All right. Next slide when you get a chance. Then the one after that. So before we begin, I just want to go ahead and send over a poll. Once it shows up on your screen, go ahead and take a few moments to answer the questions to the best of your ability. The answers are going to be anonymous, so don't worry about whether you get them right or wrong. After all, we're all here to learn today. And we'll give it just a few more seconds. All right. Great, thank you so much for your information. We're going to go ahead and exploring some of these concepts in just a little bit. It always helps us to get a handle of what everyone knows beforehand. So we have a few specific items to cover in our presentation today, and then we're going to have about 10 minutes for questions after. You're always welcome to reach out to us through our emails, which were on the previous slide, but I'm also going to go ahead and send them in a follow-up email as well as soon as we're done with today's presentation. So today's plan, we're going to start off with an overview of where your water comes from, and then we're going to cover exactly why water conservation is a good idea for the future of humanity. And of course, we're going to walk you through some easy to adopt water conserving behaviors and introduce you to a few other ways to save water. So if that sounds good to everyone, we're going to go ahead and dive into our first question. So, what is potable water and where does it come from? Well, potable water is the water that we use for drinking, bathing, and washing our clothes and dishes. But where does it come from? Well, we're familiar with how important water is to our daily lives. I'd imagine that's why you're all here today, because you have a desire to conserve and protect our water for ourselves and our upcoming generations. Now more than ever, it's crucial that we step up to the plate and take our environment seriously. So let's start off with a little perspective. This slide shows that very little water on Earth is fresh water, and even less is easily accessible for human use. So 97% of the Earth's surface water is salt water, and the remaining 3% is fresh water. Nearly 69% of the Earth's fresh water is locked up in glaciers and ice caps, which are mainly in Greenland and Antarctica. Of the remaining fresh water, most of it's under our feet is groundwater, and then a very small percent of fresh water, only about 0.3%, is what we see as rivers and lakes. Our groundwater is mostly found flowing through Swiss cheese rocks that we know as aquifers. Florida's geology is mostly made of limestone, which is a porous rock derived from the skeletons of marine organisms like corals, plankton, algae, gastropods, and sea urchins. Natural acids have dissolved this limestone over millions of years to form caves, sinkholes, and complex underground drainage systems. This property gives limestone great porosity and permeability and creates large aquifers throughout the state. An aquifer is an underground geologic formation that stores and transmits usable quantities of water. The Floridan aquifer underlies the entirety of Florida and parts of Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and South Carolina. It's one of the world's most productive aquifers and supplies drinking water for nearly 10 million people, as well as aiding the thriving agriculture industry in Florida. So now we know that most of our water comes from the ground. In fact, here in Florida, more than 90% of the water we use for drinking, bathing, and more comes from groundwater. In its natural state, groundwater is generally clear, clean, easy, and inexpensive to make suitable for drinking. Most of the water that we end up drinking is local. We get some of our water from groundwater processed by county wells at the T. Mabry Carlton Jr. Treatment Facility, University Parkway, and the Jacaranda Water Treatment Facility. But it turns out that our biggest source of fresh drinking water is actually Peace River. We also get a large portion of our potable water from Manatee County. Surface water, such as the water from Peace River, goes through a different set of treatments than groundwater. But no matter the treatment, all of our water comes out delicious and safe to drink. So, a question we often get is whether we have enough water for everyone moving forward into the future. Florida is a hotspot for tourism and development, and we have an increasing population of about 1,000 people per day. That is a huge number to think about. Sarasota County in particular takes the number 14 slot for most populous counties in Florida. And just to put that in perspective, Florida has about 67 counties total. So we can see this boom in population reflected in our water statistics. In Florida, the majority of our water goes to agriculture and public supply, also known as our potable water. All combined water use in 2020 is projected to be just under 7,000 million gallons per day, with an increase of nearly 600 million gallons per day in the next 15 years. So that's an alarming increase in water use, and we need to make sure that demand is met before we run into an issue of water shortage. So, with our current available water resources, our state is looking at a total shortfall of about 400 million gallons per day. To prevent this from happening, we have to consider the following ways to expand our water resources. Of course, we should all start with water conservation, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Conserving water means that we don't have to look for expensive and time-consuming ways to obtain more water. Other methods of meeting this shortage include using reclaimed water, which is former wastewater that's been treated for use in irrigation, as well as a few other processes, storing our water in aquifers through well injection when we have a surplus, creating reservoirs for holding stormwater, and treating brackish groundwater through processes such as reverse osmosis. So some of these methods can be costly, but we can rely on water conservation to consistently be one of the cheapest and easiest ways for individuals to make an impact. All right, so to conserve water, we first have to investigate where some of the biggest water users might be in a home, which means we have to ask, where is the most water used in a home? So the answer is actually irrigation. Specifically, we're talking about using an automated system to water our turf grass. Reducing irrigation water applications can result in significant financial savings, and it can also reduce soil and nutrient losses from the home to groundwater and local water bodies. Some ways to cut back on your water use through irrigation include limiting your system to run only once per week. If you live in unincorporated Sarasota County, remember to follow our guidelines of watering on Tuesday if you have an address that ends in an even number, or watering on Thursday if your address ends in an odd number. Always try to set your system to irrigate in the early morning so that water doesn't get lost to evapotranspiration from the hot sun. Your system should also have a rain sensor that keeps it from running if there's adequate rainfall during the week. If your sensor isn't going off like it should be, we recommend performing maintenance on it as soon as possible. The city of Tampa actually has a great guide on checking cork disc rain sensors, which are the most popular form of rain sensor in the state, and I'll send that over after this presentation. Additionally, make sure that when you do irrigate, only apply about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of water per application. Every system runs differently, so it's important that you calibrate each of your zones to deliver that amount. You can also schedule an irrigation evaluation or conduct one yourself to see where you can save water with your system. This includes sprinkler maintenance, capping heads where needed, and going over some general ways to save water. Each municipality within Sarasota County has slightly different rules, although we all operate under the Southwest Florida Water Management District's watering guidelines. We have our restrictions in place to help prevent runoff. Runoff is a big issue when it comes to overwatering your plants. The water that doesn't get used ends up taking nutrients out of the soil and transporting them into nearby water bodies, where they can cause harmful algal blooms or otherwise disrupt the ecosystem. If you're not sure when to water, you can always check our county's water resources website to see your city's watering restrictions. Besides irrigation, we also have a number of water wasters in the home. The biggest offender is our toilets, which are estimated to use 24% of our potable water. But we also have to be conscious of our showers, sinks, and clothes washers. Of all these numbers, though, one that we absolutely have to work on is leaks. It turns out that water wasted through leaks takes up at least 12% of our potable water consumption. That's water that's being wasted and potentially leading to damage in the home. One recommendation is to check for leaks through a leak detection checklist. I'll send a resource over after this presentation as well, so you can make sure your home is leak-free. So we've talked about why conserving water is important and where our water is being wasted. So now we can dive into some more actionable items that can make you a conservation superstar. So let's start with some quick tips. These are mostly easy behaviors that you can pick up and use to save a lot of water and money over time. So first, you can install and use low flow shower heads and a water flow restrictor for your tap. For low flow shower heads, you can get these from most home goods stores. And I recommend looking for ones that are easy to install and make sure you have someone to help you in case you aren't too savvy with a wrench. You can take shorter showers instead of taking a bath, install a water efficient toilet, and we'll get more into that later. You can turn off the water when you're brushing your teeth or shaving. It seems like a no-brainer, but it actually leads to a lot of savings over time. You can scrape your plate instead of rinsing it before you put it in the dishwasher. And on that note, you can plug the sink when you're washing your dishes by hand and reuse that water elsewhere. For example, you can use it to water your plants, or you can use it in your toilet tank. Only run the dishwasher or washing machine when you have a full load. You can reuse towels when it's possible, and of course, get those water leaks fixed. So water efficient devices can save you a huge amount of water each year, and it's a very passive way to conserve. If you were to install water efficient shower heads, faucet aerators, toilets, dishwashers, and washing machines in your home, you would be able to save nearly 12,000 gallons of water annually. That's enough to run your laundry machine over 270 times. That means you'd have to wash your laundry more than once a day to reach that number in a year. So if you do decide to replace your devices at home, we recommend looking for the EPA's WaterSense label. That's an easy way to spot a water efficient product. WaterSense products have to use at least 20% less water than the standard market product without sacrificing any performance. And on the next slide, we just have the label to look out for and a website you can go to find more information. And they also have some info on rebates that you can get through the WaterSense program. So here are some examples of water-saving devices. The first one is a toilet dam, and you can use that to fill up space in your toilet tank. So this keeps you from wasting an entire tank full of water every time you flush. You can make one yourself with a plastic bag, air, and rocks to help it stay weighted. Faucet aerators and shower heads reduce water flow and can be found in most home improvement stores. We also have some to give away at our office, and we'll talk about that after the presentation. Recirculation pumps connect to your water heater and recycle unused hot water by returning it directly to the water heater. So that means not wasting water and not having to wait for your shower to heat up. So those are just a few ways to conserve water at home. And it's important to note that conservation counts for all kinds of water, and that includes city water and well water. What we do to conserve water today will help ensure that our county will meet its future water demand. So with that said, let's go ahead and answer our last poll. All right, so if you could take a few moments to just answer the questions on the screen. And just to note for the last question, please don't select anything that you already do as part of your regular routine. Just focus on anything else that you plan to do in the future to help conserve water based on what you learned from this presentation. And I'll just give it a few more moments. All right. Well, it is great to see that you all are willing to do so much going forward to help conserve water for our future generations. So that about does it for my presentation today. I want to go ahead and open up the floor to any questions. You can go ahead and unmute your microphone. Let's just try to do one person at a time.
So I just wanted to mention, since there were so many people who wanted to adopt water conservation strategies like faucet aerators and shower heads, we have those things at the extension office. And so you can contact Jackie or myself to just arrange to come in at a time to pick up those devices so we can give them to you. We also have rain gauges so that you can know when to water your yard, because like Jackie said, 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of water will be sufficient for your yard for a week. So if it rains that much in a day, you don't have to water for that week. You can skip a week. A lot of Floridians like to skip watering over the summer because we get enough rain in the summer. So that's another way you can conserve water. So anyway, there's many ways to conserve, and Jackie did a great job telling us about those. But if you want to come into the office in Sarasota County at Twin Lakes Park to get any of those water saving devices, just let us know.
Yeah, and I'll be sending a follow-up email after this to everyone who came today, and I'll have the address, my email, Abby's email, and just some general resources that could be helpful for your water conservation journey going forward. So any questions at all? Happy to answer where we can.
This is Sally, and can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay, Sally.
Okay. So what are the answers to that poll that we took?
Oh, sure.
I don't think I got all of them.
Yeah, so for number 1, it is all of the above. We can get our potable water from springs, groundwater, lakes, and rivers. For 2, about how many people are moving to Florida each day, it's actually calculated as of 2019 to be about 1,000 people moving to Florida every day, which is incredible to think about. And then 3, it's irrigation. So irrigation is the biggest use of water in the average home, but then if we're looking inside the home specifically, then toilets would be the next biggest water user. 4 is just, whatever you think is right for yourself and your lifestyle. So that's just whatever you plan on adopting in terms of water conservation behaviors after today's presentation.
Okay, this is Sally. I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
I missed when you put up this slide about where our water comes from in Sarasota County. You started off by saying 5% comes from Carlton, 6% from Jacaranda, and then I missed the last 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. Thank you, Abby, for going back. That one is slide number 9. And yeah, it's 20% from Manatee County and then 69% from Peace River.
Okay, thank you.
And just to be clear, those sources are mixed. So Peace River is mixed with the water treatment facility at T. Marbury Carlton. A hard time saying that. And then Manatee is mixed with University Parkway wells. And then Peace River is also mixed with Jacaranda water that goes south, South County. So no one gets pretty much, I don't think anyone gets one of those without having it mixed in with another.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll just add that you guys can find this drinking water sources in your drinking water quality report, or consumer confidence report is also what it's called. So if you just Google drinking water quality Sarasota, you'll get 2 responses, one for the city of Sarasota and one for the county. So if whoever you pay is what you Google. So if you pay Manatee County for your water, then you'd Google drinking water quality Manatee County, and then you'll get not only where does Manatee County get its drinking water, but then you'll also get information about what kind of contaminants, if there are any contaminants in the water, for that year of monitoring the water source. So it looks at all kinds of things that are regulated under the Safe Drinking Water Act for both the state and for the US. So that comes out every year. It lags about 8 months behind. So you can get 2019s now, but you won't be able to get 2020s until like basically October of next year. But it's a great resource.
All right. Any last questions before we conclude for today? And you're always welcome to email us any questions that you have after this presentation about anything at all water related.
Great job, Jackie.
Thank you, Abby. Same to you.
Just to summarize, most of your water is used outdoors, right? So try to only water once a week. That's required in unincorporated Sarasota County. Track your rain to make sure you're not overwatering. Also look indoors for ways to save. You can come to the extension office to get some water saving devices. And also you can get an irrigation evaluation if you do have an irrigation system, and we can help you find ways to save in your yard as well.
All right. I think with that, we are good to go. Thank you, Abby, for the excellent summary and for handling my presentation today. I'm going to go ahead and get that follow-up email together. If there's anything specific that you'd like to know, you're welcome to put it in the chat, and I can try to link you a resource in that email. But if not, we can always follow up later through email or phone, and we'll get you whatever information you're looking for. All right, thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate your time and attention.
Thank you.